We are live. Excellent. We are here doing the Cthulhu Cairo review, episodes 7 and 8. Is that right? 7 and 8?
Yeah.
Yeah. We're at 7 and 8. We have as our special guest, Kayla, aka Aveline, on the show with us. So, yay. Exactly. We're excited. We're very, very excited. I almost wanted to title this review "Don't Be Suspicious." Because a lot of stuff went down in these two episodes, and I could just kind of feel it in your character in particular, kind of running around. Don't be suspicious. Don't be suspicious. just a whole episode.
I was that trend before the trend.
Exactly.
Like
you started the trend.
2019.
Exactly. You started it. Exactly. So your character, I did want to definitely discuss your character and how it's emerging in these two episodes. I don't think we've got the full picture of you yet, but parts of it are coming into realization, which I dig, because first you're like, oh, I'm a school teacher, and I'm like, yeah, no school teacher has a telegraph and like
40,
giant house and 45 in their side table, and brass knuckle evening gloves, but whatever.
I mean, she's a special teacher.
Yeah, exactly.
She's one of those. She's just so unusual in that way. But Aveline, there's a lot more to her than meets the eye. You are definitely picking up on that. So ask away. I can't spoil that much because I'm so far ahead of you guys. So I'm gonna try and keep the spoilers to a minimum.
Well, I mean, you definitely revealed to yourself to
Schooly
that you were a member of the same organization, and that came out and definitely kind of put him back on his heels, to where he's like, okay, she's just not talking out of her ass. She actually knows what she's talking about, which actually brings in a topic I want to discuss. I actually want to kind of make this a topic, and I hate to put you in the seat on this, but I got this feeling the entire episode, and it's something that I constantly run into when I'm both running and watching Call of Cthulhu games come up. Call of Cthulhu, especially, it's a game that's set in, it's a period RPG, kind of like a period drama. The best games are like in the Victorian era or the 20s. There are modern games, but it's known for being of the 20s, because that's when H.P. Lovecraft was writing all this, which the whole world was different back then, in views of race and sex and everything like that. So when I'm both running and then listening to the games like this and watching other games, I'm watching how they approach, where the line is is between reality and this is a game where a lot of stuff doesn't apply, because yes, it shouldn't apply. We're all trying to have a good time, but then I'm also looking at this, and I'm like, I still want to look at that time, and not whitewash it or anything like that. To use some old school terms or whatever, not just kind of gloss over it. I want. That's the reason why we're kind of playing in that time. It's not just because we want to run around in giant cars and shoot big guns, but or take voyages by boat rather than plane. but it's where you draw the line at, and watching, when this you just came from an episode where you split up, and it was very different because it was all very intense and things were going on. But in these last two episodes, especially the last one, you guys split up again. Mm-hmm. And I was watching about how it was boy, girl, and it seemed to be like the females were leading the investigation and the guys were there just kind of to escort and kind of watch out for trouble, kind of a deal. And I was watching that, and I was like, cool, I dig that. That definitely was a very, very cool part of it. but then it was making sense to me because in that time, even in the 30s where you guys are playing, you did not let a woman run around unescorted. It just didn't happen.
Yeah.
So for you guys to be going to those places, by yourself, people be like, what the hell? But that wasn't mentioned in the game. It was just you guys are going and these guys are going with you. It's boy, girl, boy, girl.
Well, I think,
yeah.
Was it? Hold on, let me think. It was Schooly and Faye that went to the bank, right?
Yeah.
That she did mention, like, would it be normal for him to be carrying the key?
Mm-hmm.
And I just kind of assumed because he was a male, if that was like, because he was her escort, if that would be why he would be carrying the key to the safe deposit box, because he was a male versus a female.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I picked up on that too. I think it's interesting.
Yeah. Oh, I was also there, I believe.
I thought you were at the museum. Maybe I'm...
No. They went to the sanitarium.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
No. Catherine went to the sanitarium.
No, Catherine. Yeah, Catherine.
They went together.
Catherine and Sid went to.
You were the one in disguise, weren't you, Aveline?
Yeah, maybe I might have Faye because Faye's the one that went to the museum.
No, Faye was with me. I think I remember this. She was my assistant, and then Schooly was there as the escort. Okay. I was in disguise. And good point, Matt, because we were trying to capture that era of like, oh, you never let a woman go alone. And these two guys, Sid's an English gentleman, even though he talks like thick Yorkshire. Mm-hmm. Like, he's not about to let these new strange women just walk off to a sanitarium or a bank where they're possibly dangerous people in waiting, because there's clearly forces at work that we do not understand. So we kind of chose based on who we thought would be best to go in each direction. I needed to go in disguise in order to convince the bank teller that we needed the lockbox with the key. And Faye was my assistant. So having Schooly there to read everything and like see if there's anything different, because he's a historian as well as Faye, that was important. And Sid would be the muscle and the husband figure of Catherine, who's looking after, who's trying to find this woman in the sanitarium who's a long lost relative or a friend or something, which is why.
What was the term that was invented?
Toffee pudding.
Toffee pudding.
We still talk about it.
That's great.
Like, literally just before I came on tonight, we had to do a late recording, but they were like, Mel said, oh yeah, toffee pudding, top 5 Cthulhu and Cairo humor moments. We do not know how it came up, but it's like, it's lasted this long, so it must be good.
Yeah,
it was beautiful.
Definitely. But yeah, I mean, that's what I wanted to kind of discuss tonight was, all the isms in gaming, sexism, racism, ageism, that kind of thing. Because, one, in Call of Cthulhu, the most dangerous character anyone will tell you is a 90-year-old professor of history is the most dangerous character in Call of Cthulhu because he knows everything. It's like a 10th level wizard. I'm not scared of the guy with the 45. I'm scared of the old dude with the book in a wheelchair.
I think Aveline is now too.
Exactly. But
she's got some new fears.
Exactly. But yeah, it's hard to draw that line and still have it there. Like when I'm running a one shot, especially at cons and stuff like that, I try not to make it a thing. I try to just go through it as much as we can, especially when I'm running a 20s game or something like that. I'm like, we're just doing all this stuff. If we want to make this a teachable moment, have that come up in a game, I want to do it really quick because we've only got X amount of time. But I usually will just, hey, this is what we're all doing. You guys are adventurers. They're going to get out of your way regardless. Respect the gun, not who's behind it. That kind of a thing. that kind of a deal. But yeah, when I was watching or listening to this game go on, it just struck me. I'm like, and nothing was really said about it, which was even cooler to me. It was like, this is how it's happening, and this is how it's going, and the ladies are being escorted, Not that they really needed it, but for appearance's sake, for the game, and so that a lot of eyebrows wouldn't get raised or anything like that. I really kind of dug that part. Some people might play this game and but might be listening to this episode and be going, well, they didn't need to be escorted anyway, or blah 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 blah. They should be able to do what they want. I'm like, yeah, fair point. In gaming, especially in with newer players that I'm seeing all the time, and trying not to be a gatekeeper or grognard or anything like that, but to have it and not have to really say it, what we call veiling, I think it was important. It was very, very cool, and just done, just not having to be a problem, kind of a deal. Linda, Amanda, did you guys have anything you wanted to add on that, or?
It's funny because I did not catch that at all, and I listened to it.
It's probably the best part. It's like a lot of people don't even catch it. Yeah,
but having dealt with in real life, women don't do that. I'm surprised I didn't, but I'm glad I didn't. Certainly women it's Pulp.
Yeah.
And there were women who certainly would have gone and done a lot of these things on their own. But if you want to raise fewer eyebrows or catch less attention, you take a man along. Also, in the time period, I don't work it in when I play, but most people would have responded better to the male in these business type and personal discussions, because they were the authority figure. So I love how you guys played it out with the women taking leads, and they all got their own chance to shine in their own way once again. And so I just,
if I may, sorry.
No, go ahead. I was going to say, I love how we learn little more tidbits about your character, but so do the other players.
Yeah.
You come down in disguise. They should have been going, whoa.
I'm gonna say it. Evelyn was super suspicious in the beginning because it's round one, getting used to everybody's like, what the hells? And she had a lot of moments because Keeper, in his good grace, was like, hey, you know who you should call to get rid of this like corpse situation in episode 7? Gustav. Gustav. And I'm like, oh yeah, I have that. But how am I gonna play it when they're not gonna meta me? And so
they were not trying to believe you at all. That was so funny to listen to.
I know. Catherine's like, what?
You really want to call him?
You called the police and they want us to leave? I was like,
that's what I love, because like Catherine got downright pissy about it. I was like, she just like pouted getting in the car. Fine, we're going.
I will admit I didn't play it well because I was nervous, and you can tell kind of the way I ramble in that moment of like just going off and on about the same thing, saying like, well, if you want to call him, go right ahead, and I give her the number, but I keep reiterating it over and over again that it's fine. So and we were all just starting to get used to each other. This is like maybe our 3rd or 4th recording session. So
it was clever though. I mean, you said like that they didn't want you all to continue to disturb the crime scene, and they had mentioned, I think previously, that it was kind of custom for the police to get back in touch with witnesses and like to let them kind of go and then get back in touch with them later on. I thought it was very clever of her to be like, they want us to leave so that we don't, disturb the crime scene.
I thought it was clever too. However, I did not do well on my performance check, and in any role-playing situation, when the roles don't count, people jump on the opportunity to call you out for being a liar.
I know.
So,
well, that's
like Scott was doing his thing of like being like, well, this is very suspicious, grilling the police officer who's right there, and then grilling me when I was in the Cobalt Club and revealed that, and Catherine calling again to confirm that they wanted them to leave.
So I gotta ask, how much of that was the players sussing you out, and how much of that was you and your sister? Yeah, fine, call them. I don't care.
Just okay.
Put you on the spot.
No, but I was just reading the comment there. Sorry, but
yeah,
it was a lot of my sister a little bit, but I will admit, because again, we make the polar opposite characters. She mentioned it in her episode, and I don't know. It was a very suspicious thing of like, well, why don't they want us here when they take our statements? What about the mother and daughter? That's a factor. And I kept saying, we can take them somewhere safe, wherever they want to go. You don't have to leave them here. But it was a lot of character sussing out, because here's this woman who's just had her fist down her throat, the gloves, the weird military tactics of like, I'm gonna do hand signals to tell you where to move. Yeah. And we're gonna clear the levels of the house from basement up. And that's like, a school teacher can do this? And yeah, that's what she is, a school teacher. That isn't a lie, but she's got a little bit more, and because these people are so near to her, she wasn't going to just reveal all of her secrets that are going to come out in later episodes. Yeah, but it was a lot of back and forth.
You learned at recess how to clear a house. Yeah, no problem.
You were also claiming magic or something odd, because you felt like something was trying to climb out of your throat. And
and if they can't see it, that made it more suspicious. Yeah.
Yeah, you got to be nuts a little bit. They don't know what's going on, but
yeah,
just a smidge, just a smidge.
All right. So I did also want to talk a little bit about the and what you can divulge. I'm not sure we get a whole lot more into it in further episodes, but the club you and Schooly are part of.
Yes.
So what kind of club is this?
It's a underground, like if you imagined it as like a fancy club for rich people who have like stays in politics, it's an underground organization that deals in information and like money laundering and other stuff, and it's sometimes criminal activity, which is important for Evelyn's backstory, because the reason she has so much mystery is her father was a criminal with ties to the Cobalt Club. So she, like, this is not anything new. You'll learn this as you go, and this is like headcanon stuff you can also hear on our Patreon. So if you're out there listening, go on our Patreon. You can hear all this yourself. But yeah, she grew up in the life of a gangster, basically, in London in the 1910s. And when her father's been in prison now for a long, long time, he did some really shady stuff, and that's why she got out. However, some people still owe her favors from when she would cover for them, be an alibi. These are the things, that's why she has Gustav. Gustav owed her a favor. The police officer owes her favors from covering up certain indiscretions of his from his superiors. So, and it's all, like, there's more to it, but that's why she's so shady. In other words, she can't exactly say, oh yeah, I have gangster ties. I'm a criminal. Like, I'm a career criminal, and I got out of the life to become a math teacher. That's like, how can we trust you? So, like, that's this is all a part of Evelyn's psychosis, but because Catherine is so honest and upfront about who she is or what she is, and Evelyn's like, I've got these gloves, I got contacts. For some reason, I'm friends with the police. It's like,
well, yeah, I mean. Because it completely took me by surprise. Because when I'm watching the first couple episodes, because I felt like Catherine was taking like the more in charge leadership, the Batman position, and you were like ducking right in being the Robin. And now I'm feeling that kind of reverse because it's like you have this knowledge that Catherine's like, whoa, wait, what? What? How's all this going on? And it's so, your character's flipped, and it had me guessing, where you are, where you fit in, because I was like, is she MI6? Is
that would have been cool.
Yeah, is she an agent somewhere? Like a spy? Doing this kind of deal, or is she FBI? I think the bureau was just in its infancy at this time. I don't think it was actually the FBI yet. So I was like, where is she coming from with this? But then to actually just be like an inside person in a powerful, shadowy organization, I guess I'm kind of equating it to like the Skulls here in the U.S. I guess I want to call it like that. Where they definitely have political ties and weight and stuff like that, but they're still very much of a, not quite a cult, but sort of a cult. Kind of a deal. Seeing how that's developing.
Obsession is money, I would say. Like,
how
do we get rich quicker?
Yeah. And watching how that played out, and then seeing again, masterclass from Bruno, and like dropping all the knowledge at you guys, where no matter where you guys are at, it seems to me. Because I did a lot of research on the Golden Dawn, like getting ready to run like the Golden Dawn supplement for Call of Cthulhu. There's a really great supplement of Call of Cthulhu called the Golden Dawn that deals with all the members from Crowley, Blavatsky, and all of them on down. And it's a really, really great book, out of print, and so now it's ridiculously expensive. But I was remembering all that stuff that Raz was bringing in, and I like his style in this because it's obvious that he has all this information to give to you, and he's just looking for places to drop it. So it's like no matter where you go, he's gonna find something there for you guys to find. He's got all this information, and I like how it keeps it open ended. He's not like railroading you guys. You've got to go to the museum. No, that's fine. You can find it over here. So that's very, very cool. Masterfully done again by Raz. How to play that out. So how much of this, the backstory on your character, thought up between you and Raz, or was this all of your creation?
Okay, I'm going to organize my thoughts and not making this spoiler territory. Basically, I was having trouble, and I didn't want to join this campaign because of issues with other previous Cthulhu campaigns traumatizing me a little bit. There was like an instance in my past where I was like, I'm never playing Call of Cthulhu ever again. And then he's like, come on. You'd love this. It's in Egypt. You're an Egypt person. And I'm like, you are trying so hard to get me back, aren't you? Fine. So literally we're about down to the wire to make my character, and he helps me come up with this idea of a dark twist secretive person, because I like making female characters that have a lot of backstory that's not quite kosher. Because with her gangster side, there's also a completely opposite motive of why she's at the gala that night. She was told by one of her contacts that she owed a favor to. Like, basically, he saved her butt a while back, and he's like, oh, I want you to go looking for this person. And that person is Faye. And that is also... Yeah. And so, literally, that's the only reason she's there. She's here because this archaeologist girl is about to go on a major dig in Egypt for some stuff, and she's like, oh, well, I'll scope it out. And that was his idea. My idea was all the stuff in the background combined with his way of putting me into the story. So it's a very collaborative event with him. Like, each of our characters had a purpose for being at that gala. Catherine was related to the museum director. Sid ran the machinery. Schooly, Cobalt Club, same sort of thought process in his head. I hope you get to talk to Scott at some point because he's a riot. Love that guy. I love all of them, but like the reason Schooly's there is quite like jaw opening, and Faye also there for a purpose. So yeah, what you said about Raz dropping little hints of knowledge everywhere, it's so true. Because you're going to be recalling stuff from episode 1 that's going to show up in episode like 63. It's that intensely intertwined.
Yeah. Very cool. Very good. Again, masterfully done.
Mm-hmm.
So congrats, Raz, for doing that. You're doing a really good job at that. And I guess it's part of the reason why I picked you to be a GM for us. So yeah, that works too. but Linda, Amanda, you have any questions for Kelly while we're here? I've been kind of taking up all our time. Sorry.
You're fine. A lot of them already got answered. I felt so much pity for Aveline in the beginning because no one would believe her about that there was something down in her throat, and everybody was like, oh, Catherine said she was suffering from some kind of like medicine or something. What's like psychotic medicine or something, and Faye was like, no, there wasn't anything. And I was like, no one believes her. I felt, and then of course right after that was you called the police and they were like, oh yeah, really? They want us to leave? Yeah, sure. Okay. And I was like, somebody please believe this poor girl.
She's trying to help.
Felt a lot of sympathy for it. Like for me, and to be honest, I've had the most difficulty relating with Aveline as a character. So this episode for me, especially episode 7, I felt like that's when I connected with Aveline as a character and became invested in her. I felt, I felt an emotion towards her, which helped me really get on her side and want her to be successful. And I think it was really great. I think this is a perfect opportunity to have you on the show. 'Cause for me as a fan, was because this is the show that I connected with that character. So it's awesome. I think you all are brilliant.
Yeah.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah. I mean, just like it was said in the episode, it was kind of a clunky outgoing, but once it came out there, it was like, okay, now we know, and he kind of had to pull the other players into it, which, it's hard when something like that just gets dropped and you gotta throw out that ace, and everybody's like, where did you get that ace? Was that up your sleeve this whole time? Yes, it was.
Yeah, it definitely was.
I like how you completely have Schooly on your side right now. Mm-hmm. But I don't. Am I remember correctly? You don't quite have all the other characters there because they don't know, but Schooly does. So that's a really powerful ally. So, does it take much longer for it to develop? For the other characters to find out some of them are suspecting you're more than just a school teacher, but to have it confirmed.
It's no spoilers. It does take so long. And then when the full truth of my character's backstory comes out, it even takes them longer to accept it because it's so wildly outrageous that it almost sounds like a pulp comic book of the dark heroine spy, as you called her, Matt, and I appreciate the comparison. But obviously, the way that it had to go down, she has dealt with keeping secrets, keeping her mouth shut about things all her life. She's not, even though she met these guys, I was trying to avoid that whole D&D kind of syndrome of, the party met at a tavern, now we trust each other with our lives kind of stuff.
Yeah.
I was really trying to push myself to not do that, and it's difficult being kind of the woman outside of it all, but in the end, they kind of do rely on her weirdness and her knowledge in others' areas, even if they don't maybe understand it. Her skill set and what she has to offer is so valuable to the team. They kind of just say, okay, fine, Aveline, you can do your shady stuff. I will not ask how you knew or how you got this information, but just so you know, I am not happy with it, but we're gonna use it anyway. Let's go. And it's a whole dynamic thing that ends up kind of working itself out. So but it takes a while, so I hope you guys like stick through it, and when the reveal happens, you are just as surprised.
I love how you're keeping it close to your chest.
Yeah.
It's obvious the other players don't even know, let alone their characters. They don't know you're bad. Well, they do now, and if they didn't, well, hey. I really like how that's playing out, and it makes for some good, I think, more authentic role playing. So kudos to you for keeping it under wraps.
Absolutely. Well, yeah. You confiding in Schooly definitely helped him become. I don't know if he's quite ride or die for you yet, but he's getting there.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he's like, oh yeah, she's cool. We're cool. Whereas other people, like, I don't know, maybe I wouldn't trust an open drink around Catherine. I'm just saying. From personal experience.
I think for Schooly, it's kind of like meeting a coworker. Like, oh, yeah, we work for the same company. We kind of have the same values. However, you are still a mystery to me. How did you even get in? Like, what are you doing here? But
you're a teacher.
I'm a teacher. I am. I will ride or die with that because it's the truth. I teach.
Exactly. And you're right. Like you explained it right in the game, is like it's an easy way to just get your way around. Like, oh, I'm a teacher, where everybody's like, oh, okay. I mean, why would someone say they're a teacher? Why would you do that? It is a great cover until they see.
I thought it was.
The layers. Yeah, it worked really well. I mean, nobody gives it another thought. Like I sweep streets, okay. You're knowledgeable about stuff because you had to teach kids stuff. Okay, all right, okay.
That's exactly why I chose teacher. It's like, oh, you're not going to ask me any more questions if I say teacher, but I'm like, anything else it would be, what? Anything close to the truth would be confusing.
Nice. All right. Well, does anybody else have any questions or anything you would like to add?
I would like to add thank you for hosting this review. I'm glad you guys are enjoying the show. You are in for some ups and downs. Again, I hope I did not spoil it. I'm reading the comments and it looks like my GM and my other players are not yelling at me.
Exactly.
Not have said that, but
exactly.
I have a tendency behind Mike to say things like I remind the GM of a rule that hurts my players and they go, Kayla, shut up. Like you have word vomit. And I'm like, I'm trying to help. But, yeah, so
I can't push that roll. What? Shut up. I won't push that roll.
Exactly. I get that so often. And like for Aveline wise, there's still so much more to learn and grow with her, and some hopefully interesting moments, because again, this campaign gives ample opportunity for every player to show off who they are, their skills, and opportunities to really delve deep into why they're like this.
Very, very cool. Excellent. All right. Well, we're going to wrap this one up. Thank you so much again for joining us. This was really cool to have you in here with us and kind of explain kind of behind the scenes a little bit of how these episodes got together. It was very cool. A lot of information was dropped in these last 2 episodes. So if you want to know more about it, definitely give it a listen to on Spotify or whatever listening channel that you use. I'm sure that they're on it. I'll put a link in here as well to their page. Thank you again so much for being with us. And Melinda, Amanda, appreciate you being with us. I'm sorry I was voicing and taking up most of the time, but I had a lot of questions. I just wanted to get them out.
A couple of questions that I had were answered in that process. So.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you guys again so much. You're very cool. Thank you guys so much again, and we will see you guys soon.
Take care, guys.
Bye.